It's Late Night Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Craftin', coming to you at 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, September 16th. It's 11:59 here in Wisconsin. I did not manage my time well today, so I've been putzing around, taking care of getting our project ready. Now I'm just waiting for my live to pop up so I can see if anybody's joining me and try to follow along with any comments. Here we go. Just have to find the right one. Hopefully I have sound. It looks like I do. Awesome. So, welcome. I can tell you that Stampin' Up! Has some fun stuff coming up. And one of them is, let's see. Oh, the first one, the most important one, there's a stamp sale that's going to happen Thursday, the 18th, for 24 hours only. So excuse me, that'll go mountain time. So for 24 hours on October 18th, all stamp sets and stamp tools are going to be 15% off. So start making your list. If there's some things you want, now would be the time to get them. So if you go, I did notes as to how to get to it. There's a place on there where you can see all the stamp tools. So if you shop by like stamps, there should be a filter for stamp tools. You can see all the tools that'll be there. So don't miss out on that because that's only for one day. Another thing Stampin' Up's got going on is a craft class they're going to start where they will have Stampin' Up! Instructors or guest instructors. I'm not sure exactly what the format's going to be. We just got information about this today. And they're going to have a live craft class. The first one is going to be October 23rd at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's Wisconsin, United States time. Or you'll be able to view it on demand because it's going to be a private group. The cost of the course is $30, or the cost of the class. And they're going to be using the Traditions of Christmas Sweet Collection. I have some of that already. So I haven't decided if I'm going to buy other things or if I'm just going to supplement it with what I have. But it should give you all of the directions, probably a PDF as to what you need. And then they've given a list of additional supplies, you know, what blocks you need, what inks you'll need, and that all will coordinate with the paper that they're using. So that'll be interesting to see what that is like. And then they're also going to have this 12 days of crafting advent calendar, which looks pretty cool. When I saw it, it reminded me of, you know, those little lifesaver boxes we used to have at Christmas where you got like 8 or 10 rolls of lifesavers that opened up. And I thought, well, I don't know, that's kind of weird. But when I looked at the video for this, it's big. I mean, look at the hands on this flyer. It's a big box. So inside of here, there are going to be exclusive products that we're not going to see on catalogs or in the catalogs or in the online store. And under each of these doors, there's going to be some tool, I think, is the deal. Again, we didn't get a whole lot of information, or I haven't reviewed the information yet. It will include exclusive dies, paper, embellishments, and more. So this is going to be available only while supplies last. It is $99, so I'm sure it's going to be awesome because that's kind of a high price point. And that goes on sale. You can start ordering that September 23rd. And then for that online class, That starts, sales start for that on October 1st. All right, so I just had my measurement sheet fall down here. Let me put this back up here. All right, so let's get down to business now that we've taken care of a couple of the little announcements. We're going to make a box, or a card that turns into a box. And I just pulled out some colors that I thought would work. We can do the box either in Old Olive or Pretty Peacock, because I thought I would do this Elegant Pine Snowflakes paper. And that's got Cherry Cobbler, Garden Green, Old Olive, Pretty Peacock, Secret Sea, and Shaded Spruce, which is why I picked these two. Because when I look at this paper, those are the first colors I see. I also was going through my things and I was trying to clean up a little bit. And I discovered I have this wood textured specialty paper and I haven't used it. And you probably can't see that. Maybe if I zoom in just a little bit. But it's textured. So I think we're going to go ahead and add some ink blending on this and maybe use a couple of pieces of this. It comes as 2 sheets. I don't remember how much it was. If it was like $5 for the 2 sheets, but it's pretty heavy as far as designer series paper goes. So we'll see. I have not fully made this card box, so we're just going to kind of see where this takes us. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear away a little bit of the debris. And I think I'm going to start with Pretty Peacock, just because I like that color. And I think it'll look kind of regal. Okay. I also need to get a piece of basic white cardstock. So let's go take care of that. So hopefully I don't have to run for that later. I'm just going to get a whole piece here. And I'm going to try to make this kind of short tonight, only because I have a class for tomorrow that I haven't finished prepping for. Of course, big surprise there, I know. All right, so we are going to take our designer series paper and we are going to cut it 8.5 by 10. So it's already 8.5 by 11. So I'm just going to take an inch off of the long side. And normally I would keep this because we need to make a belly band, but this is going to be too small for the belly band. So I do have another piece of designer series paper for that. So maybe I'll just cut a slice right now. And I'm just going to do it 1 inch. We may or may not need it that size, but at least that's already cut. Okay. And then I'm going to get my cutter out of the way. And on the short side, we are going to score 1.5 inches off of each end. All right. So you could do 1.5 inches, and then you could extend the arm and go out to 7, or you can just flip it around and do another 1.5 inches, which is what I'm going to do. And then as we start scoring on the long side, we're going to score at 2 inches. And then we're going to score at 3.5 inches. And again, you could extend that arm on your trimmer if you wanted. And then score at 6.5 and 8. Or we can flip it around 180 degrees. And we're going to score again at 2 inches. And 3.5. And this should get us everything even all the way around. So our score lines are symmetrical. Okay. So that kind of looks like it could become a box, right? And then that and that could become a box. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scoring blade again, and I'm going to come here to 5 inches. Do I want it 5 inches here? Sorry. I'm like, it should be right in the middle. And I'm just going to take it down and score at about a 1/4 inch, just so I can have it marked in the middle, because this is 10 inches. So I'm just going to put a score line at 5 inches. You could put a pencil mark if you wanted. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And then I want to score from that halfway mark to this, um, score line, set of score lines. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to try to do it with a little stylus. You might take your pick tool. Oh, almost lost that one. So let's just add one of these extra tools on here. And I'm going to use this little stylus tip and my piercing mat, along with just a ruler. You could use any straight edge. So you could actually even use like your bone folder. It wouldn't really matter. But I'm going to go from this halfway mark. So this is my 5 inch mark. And I'm going to go down to that first corner that's at that 1.5 inch score line. All right. And then I'm just going to angle this for my left-handedness. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going from that 5 inch mark down to that score line. All right. And then we're going to turn it over and we're going to do the same thing here. So from the 5 inch mark, hopefully I'm up high enough, down to that first set of score lines. So we're looking at the score lines here. Okay. And I had this layout written down as a folding box card, and that's all I wrote down. I don't remember who did this. As I was cleaning my studio space, I found this note, and who knows how long ago it was, because I have found some things that are pretty old. And I thought, oh, let's give this a try tonight. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of trimming. So I'm done with this stylus. So I'm going to take your tool pick back together. And I'm going to just get my snips here. Hopefully this will work out without any trouble. And we are going to cut away these first scored corners. All right. So we're going to cut out this corner and this corner. So all 4 of them are going to go. And normally I would say, oh, let's go ahead and miter edges as we go, but I don't want to do that because we're not mitering this edge. And you'll see in a minute what we're doing next. Okay. So if you're joining in, feel free to pop on. Let me know where you're joining from. Feel free to comment, collaborate, suggest if you think something else might look better, because that's what we do here. All right. So I can also get rid of my piercing mat. I don't need that anymore either. So now that we have this piece and we've got our angles here, all right, we've got our little, kind of like a grocery bag has those little corners there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to snip in. So here's our angles. We're going to snip in this way. Okay. So we'll get all 4 of those done. And now what we can do is go ahead and miter these flaps a little bit. All right. They don't have to be mitered a lot. It'll just help everything fold down a little bit better if they're mitered just a little bit. Whoops. So again, and they don't have to all be mitered exactly the same, so I'm not worried about the measurements or anything. We just want to miter these edges. And what I need to do for myself is make a better template, because my little note that's like, I don't know, 4 by 5 inches is not a very good template. I had to really kind of study it to think, oh, what did I didn't take really good notes. I made some dark lines where the snip should be. I guess that's all 4 mitered already. What do you know? All right. So we are going to go ahead, and we can probably get rid of those snips right now too. We don't need those anymore. We are going to go ahead and burnish our edges, all right, our score lines. So I had it like this originally because I had folded those all in, but I'm going to flip this over now because we do want it to fold in. So these first ones I'm going to fold. So we've got this larger rectangle here. So this first score line on either side, I want that to go in. That's going to be my valley, okay? I'm going to do that on both sides. And then this other one is going to come out. So that's going to become a mountain. Okay. So you can kind of see we're making like a gatefold here. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and turn this in and burnish that. And then we can go ahead and fold those in and burnish those. All right. So now we have everything kind of set here. Okay. Everything's prepped. These are going to kind of fold like this. And I'm going to do a little bit more cutting now. All right. So I want to do all of my decorating now before I put this together because it'll be easier just to do it now. Excuse me. So I'm going to do this centerpiece first. And that is going to be 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to cut my cardstock down to 5 1/2. So I've got a card base ready to go. So we're going to do 5 1/4. And I'm probably off camera. We're going to do 5 1/4. And then I'm going to do 2 3/4 because as I measure this, this is 3 inches across here. So I just want to go down to 2 3/4. And that's going to end up being my middle piece. All right, with a nice little border around there. Now, if you want less of a border, just take a 1/16 off of your 3 by 5 1/2. I think it should be 3 by 5 1/2. Yeah. So if you want to just do a 1/16, you'll do 2 7/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so that's going to go in the middle. Now I need to decide what papers we want to use. And I think what I want to do is some of these some of the sides I want to do with this wood grain. So I think what I'll do is do these panels, and I actually need 4 of them because we're going to put one set on the outside as well. And then we can do some other designer series paper here. So those panels need to be 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut 2 strips that are 1 1/4. And again, if you want yours with a little less border, that's fine. Just adjust your measurements accordingly. Okay. So that's going to go in here. Okay. And then we're going to make these 5 1/4 so that I'm getting 2 out of each of these strips. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually add another layer here, but your card is going to get pretty thick, okay? So I'm just going to do 2 more of those. Make sure those are about the same size. Yep. So we're going to do 5 1/4, 5 1/4, and then we're just going to take some pecan pie, I think, and we're going to do a little ink blending to highlight the wood grain on here. So let's get this out of the way. Let's get a little piece of scratch paper. And I have my pecan pie. Isn't this a fun set of colors? These are all the colors. The pecan pie, is that in that one? I think it is. Maybe not. No, pecan pie is not in there, but that's okay. I think it goes. It's a good set of colors here. Sala, hello. Welcome. Isn't that color palette great? I love it. So, you're in Finland, right? I have what might be some exciting news. I'm just adding some color to this wood grain paper. What is it called again? This is wood textured specialty paper. So I'm just making it look a little bit more like wood because we're going to end up die cutting some pine cones on here, I think. As part of our embellishments for the front. So, you know, when I do my ink blending, I might pick up my ink, but then I tap some of it off. Now, I could just do it right on my glass mat as well, but then sometimes I forget to wipe off my glass mat and then I get ink on things that I don't want the ink to be on. And I think I'm going to go in and make these knots a little darker. Can you see how pretty that is with the grain in there? You couldn't really see it very well probably while it was white, but there's the difference between just the plain white and then when I add some blending. So I'm going to add a little bit more in that one as well. All right, let's pull these in. I'm going to do all 4 of these pieces. And I suppose I could just go in long strokes on here, but I am just in such the habit of doing circular motions. So Stampin' Up! Announced some new things that are coming today. They're going to have a craft class, an online craft class that's available for purchase. They're going to highlight a certain suite of products. And then there's a 12 Days of Christmas kit that they're going to be doing that'll be filled with all kinds of apparently stamp tools, special stamp sets, embellishments, just a bunch of things. That looked pretty cool. And that actually would be, because it's got a higher price point, it's $99. If you're getting that, if you haven't already joined, that would be the perfect thing to join with because it would be a good start on your kit. And then you just, when you join, you pay $99, but you get $125 worth of product. So then you'd still be able to pick $26 more worth of things. Oh, I'm done with all 4 of those, I guess. Let's do just a little bit more on here. But Stampin' Up! Also announced that we are going to be able to promote and sell products in countries that we don't already have open markets in. So let's say for me, if somebody's in Australia, I can't sell to them because there's already a market there. But like if somebody's in Finland, because we're not in Finland right now, that I believe is one of the countries that I will be able to sell to. Now, I'm not sure how all the shipping and everything will work because Stampin' Up! Is not going to ship to the other countries. So I don't know how that's going to work. So I have to wait for more details on that. So there's those pieces. And I could actually go ahead and put 2 of these in here. And I want 2 that are different. I don't want the grain to be in the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and add these in here. So there's some fun stuff coming up with Stampin' Up! Right now. And for the month of October, they're going to have a joining special too. So I don't have any details on that, just that it's going to run in October. And it's supposed to be really good. That's all I know. And there's perks when you join, whether you want to do it to build a business or if you just want it for the discount. Because when you join, once you get your starter kit, yeah, I know, right, Sala? Once you get your starter kit, each of your purchases after that, you get a 20% discount. So, when I first joined, I just joined for the discount. That's all I was interested in. So these 2 pieces I'm going to save because those are going to go out here, but I need to wait. I can't put those on yet. So as soon as I have more information, Sal, I will let you know. All right. So now let's find some designer series paper that we want. And I was looking at the one that's got pine cones in it. This is all such pretty paper here. I think I'm just going to do this one. Oh, I can tell that's kind of like my favorite one because I'm almost out of that one. That's going to be, oh, I can use that for some pine cones for embellishments. All right, and this, we're going to stamp something on. So we could stamp that right now too. Maybe wishing you a day full of happy memories. Oh, welcome, Amanda. Welcome, welcome. So I kind of announced earlier, Sally, that if people are watching, feel free to chime in, tell me where you're from, comment, collaborate. So if there's things you think you would like to see done differently, I am all about collaborating here. So I'm not sure if I like those sentiments or not. Let's just see what else I have that might work. Oh, we could do an autumn one again. I suppose it would kind of depend on what you want to put inside the box. I am thinking like a gift card. And this is going to be wintry, so maybe we'll just do, you can do whatever you want, but I think I'll do, oh, maybe we'll just do wishing you peace and joy on the inside. Sometimes I'm undecided about those things. And I think we could do cherry cobbler. That's going to be too big though. Let's see if that would work for the front. I guess we'll plan that for the front. All right, so we'll just do that stamping now anyway. And how old is Amanda? You may have told me before, but I think one of the other gals that comes on here from time to time has a daughter that is about the same age as my granddaughter, which is 7.5-ish. I didn't get all the ink on there I wanted, so let's try this again. All right, so it's you then. My granddaughter will be 8 in December. So, all right, let's close that for now and let's just trim this off. All right, so we can use that for our sentiment on the outside. And then let's see what we want to do. We could just do 'tis the season on the inside. So no school today, or is it just you're watching until you have to leave for school, Amanda? I'm going to put this in here. So if you know what you're going to say on your sentiment, you're going to want to write that on there before you put it in. Because once we put this all together, it's going to be harder to write in there. So your alternative option would be to do another piece that size and put it on the back. Okay. So let's go ahead and clean these stamps off quick so I can put them away. I've been kind of leaving some of my stamps out. All right, 15 more minutes. I'll try to go quick so you don't miss too much. I've been trying to be more mindful of putting my stamps away, because sometimes what I've done is I put the case away and then I still have stamps out on my table or in the sink to get washed. And then I forget where I got them from sometimes. All right. So 15 more minutes, huh? Okay. Just kind of watch the clock here. You will probably be able to see the magic of putting the box together. I think I can get that done quickly, and we'll decorate the rest. And then your mom can show you it all decorated later. All right, so we're going to put that there. All right. And I am just going to put a little glue dot on that so that it's in the place where I want it to be, but easy to get out. Just because I want to be able to see it kind of how it's going to look. So when I go to take this out, all I have to do is kind of lift it and twist it around, and it'll come right off of there. And then I can put full adhesive on it once I get my act together and decide what I'm going to write on it. All right, so hopefully this will look all right. So now we're going to cut 2 panels for here, and I'm going to make those, let me look at my note, 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. So let's do 5 1/4. And let's cut it again because it didn't go through. There we go. And then I want 1 3/4. I think is what I said, right? Oh, that would be great. Riley loves to craft with me. That's my granddaughter's name. Hopefully I have this the right size. Case away. All right, so there's that. And I'm just wondering if I should blend a little pecan pie on here. Let's just see. Just so it kind of blends with those wood panels, if you will. And I'm not worried about getting the whole thing. It's just I want the color to kind of flow. So yeah, I was excited when I saw that announcement today about going into other countries that aren't already in our market. All right, so let's go ahead. We can glue these down right away. Dot, 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 not a lot. I use just a very little bit of glue. Whoop, there's my note again, falling down with my measurements. We don't want to use too much glue because then when it slides out or when you push it down, you're going to have it oozing out the sides. So I just put very thin streaks of glue. I know for a while I had my Riley using a glue stick because she had better control, but she's been doing really good with the liquid glue actually. All right, so this is going to look like this. And now what I want to do is I'm going to put some adhesive on here. Okay, because this is going to come like this and those are going to go like that. So let's go ahead and burnish those. Yeah, it changes the look of the paper just a little bit, especially when it's got a white background. I mean, you could do almost any color. I could have done the pecan pie. I could have done Lost Lagoon. I could have been, using Pretty Peacock or even the cherry cobbler just to get it a little different look. All right. So all I did was kick these folds up, and I think I need to straighten out my fold here a little bit because these are going to go inside, and then these we're going to fold over here, and those are going to go on the outside. So let's go ahead and put some glue on those. I think crafting is such a good hobby when you're school aged. Obviously for adults it's important too because I'm still doing it. But I think it helps with schoolwork. It helps with focus because you're creating things. All right, and now this piece is going to get glued here to cover up those flaps a little bit. We wouldn't need to because nobody's probably going to look at that side of the card, but I'll feel better that it's covered up a little bit. All right. We're getting there, Amanda. All right, and again, we're going to fold. Now I can't fold this flat without pushing this card in or that side. So don't try to push it down without everything being folded in how it needs to be. And hopefully this is going to work like a charm. All right, so with those flaps, you just want to make sure that you let them set. And hopefully my instructions have been straightforward enough so that you can easily recreate this. And I don't normally or necessarily burnish those flaps early because I want them to go around the corner. And depending on how much paper you put in there, it's going to affect how thick it's going to be. All right, so I think we've got a little bit over 5 minutes still, Amanda, so I'm hurrying here. So that'll go on there. And so with that liquid glue, I can even shift it around a little bit. All right, so here is the front of our card. Now, are you worried that it's not going to fit in an envelope? Let me grab an envelope. I had one out here. I set it somewhere. That's all right. I'm going to grab another one because they're close by. I just have to use my other hand. So here's our regular envelope. And here's our box card. Now, look at that magic. Whoops. I guess we'll go like this. Let's do that again. Look at that magic. Isn't that fun? So when I did my strips, you can see I continued my design. That was a happy little accident. I wasn't doing that on purpose. It just happened. All right. But as long as you're taking your piece and measuring it to your 5 1/4 first, and then just measuring off your 1 3/4. Yeah, 1 3/4. There you go. All right. So this I'm still going to be able to reach out of here. There we go. So if I just bend this the opposite way, I can reach this out to write what I want to write in here, or I can just add a piece to the back. So Amanda, what do you think? I hurried. Well, I didn't really. All right. So these lines line up really super. Now, the next thing I want to do is we are going to, I'm going to make a flap for my envelope, or I'm going to make a piece for the envelope because I don't like naked envelopes. So we're going to go ahead and you're welcome, Amanda, by the way. I see that your mom said you said thank you. And look, we got done with the important part before you had to leave. All right, so I do not like naked envelopes. So we're going to go ahead and use the same paper that we used on the front of our card, and we're going to glue that to the flap. And then we're going to take our little snips. It's the greatest card you've ever seen. Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to do this card with my Riley because she would probably think it was awesome too. Don't you think that would be a fun card to make to maybe give to your teacher? We give teacher gifts once in a while. Riley and I will make something and she'll take it to school and give it to her teacher. But this would be great for a gift card, you know, a little twist to some of the other gift card holders we make. Excuse me. And that is a great way to use scraps. It really is. So we can still use this for the front. But then here's our envelope, so that'll match. And we can still stamp like some pine cones on here because there are pine cones and snowflakes. So let's do the pine cone and pecan pie. Oh, I guess that's the wrong side. So let's do just a couple little pine cones here. And we'll make it look like those are kind of behind. Just covering up the one pine cone so I can kind of stamp one. There we go. All right, so there's my little pine cones, and then we'll do a snowflake, and I think I'm going to do the snowflake in Pretty Peacock, but I'm going to stamp it off first. So there's a snowflake. Oops. And let's just go ahead and do that. Just a little something on there. I should have washed my, I got a little uneven inking there, but that's all right. And then I'm just going to do a couple of snowflakes around here because this is going to be our belly band we're going to add. So we're kind of like making our own designer series paper here. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be cutting some of this off because it's probably going to be too long, but I'm just stamping the whole thing anyway because I'm on a roll, right? All right. And then, all right. Then what we'll do is we can go ahead and lay this here, and we're just going to wrap this around. And what I should have done really is start in the middle. I suppose it doesn't really matter much. Usually what I do is I try to start in the middle so that my seam ends up on the front, but it doesn't matter. I'll just trim this. Have a good day, Amanda, because I know you probably have to leave any minute now. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use some tear and tape. I can find the end. And I don't want to make this belly band so tight that I can't slide it off, but I want it snug enough that it's going to hold the card closed. So what I do is I will put some tear and tape here on the inside piece. And then I will put some on the underside of the piece that's going to go on top. Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad you love the card. Make sure you and your mom make it. Whatever paper you have, I bet you can make it gorgeous. All right, so let's take these off. And I'll put those on there. That way, by putting the tear and tape on each end, I don't have any loose ends on the inside that anything's going to get hung up on. So this will just slide right off. All right. So you can see it kind of made a little box edge kind of here. So I'm just going to force this one to make a little boxy end on there. I could have scored it to do the same thing, but that's all right. So now what we need to do is decide how we want to decorate the front of this card. So we've got wishing you peace and joy. So that could go across there, but I think I want to do like a snowflake. Or we could probably do, oh, here we go. I have some extra pieces here. I love using leftovers, which is why I keep them in my cases. So I either put it in the stamp case or the die case. So that can go there. We'll probably only end up using the ends of these because I like that little pop of color. And then I was wondering if putting a little piece behind here would set that off. And we could do that in Pretty Peacock, don't you think? Let's find a scrap of Pretty Peacock. Ooh, that was lucky. I'm just going to walk this over to my other machine because it's already set up. And we'll cut that out. Yeah, once I get done here, I'm going to do a little bit of prep work for my class for tomorrow. All right, so this can go here. So that's going to pretty up the front. And then we can put this, we'll make like a little cluster. We'll figure that out. And then add a couple of these little sprigs. And I'm just using them from the end so that I don't have to cut anything, but I like the little kind of bauble on the end there. And then let's find the Designer Series paper. Now there are dies. I'm just going to move this off to the side. And let me put these away so I don't lose anything. Make sure I've got all 10 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those aren't sticking anymore. I need to put a magnet sheet in there, I think, so I can hang on to them all. Oh, and these can go back in here. All right. So let's find the designer series paper that will work with the dies, because apparently it happens. That's great. I'm glad Amanda was excited about it. I think I kind of like this piece, and maybe do that in here. We'll cut it out of the designer series paper. We'll do some of that. And then this one looks like that one would cut out the center there. I wonder if there's another one that one will work on. And then some of these, I know it'll work. I just don't know on which one. Oh, here. So I bet this piece works. Nope. Oh yeah, it would work there. Oh, that would be pretty. And then this would work there. Let's take a look at those. And I guess I'll, I could just bring out my machine here so I don't have to run back and forth. Let me move some of my papers here. That's kind of big. I was thinking we could use a ring too. One of my old rings. That would, oh, I like that. Since it's going on a belly band, that'll work. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this down so it'll fit through my machine. And then let's move some of these goodies out of the way. Yeah, the snowflakes are so, I don't know, they're kind of classy looking. I'm trying to prevent an avalanche from happening here. Got a lot going on. I'm just going to cut 2 or 3 of these, I think. It's a good way to work out your frustrations too, right? Having a bad day, just slam those dies down and pop out that paper. Oh, thank you, Sala. I do appreciate the thumbs up or the hearts or whatever it is that happens. I appreciate that. And if you're not already subscribed, feel free to subscribe. All right, so let's try these snowflakes on here. So this one I'll put here, and I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape to hold that in place. One might be enough, but it might not. And then this one I'm going to put here. One will probably be enough for that one. It's smaller. Yeah. I have had my channel for years, actually. I've been a demonstrator since 2017. So I think I set up a channel probably within a few years of that. But I've been doing videos every night just since January of this year. I kind of challenged myself to do more online to share what I love. And I didn't know how long it would last to do them every day, but it's been fun to say, I've got hundreds of videos that you guys can watch. And I try to put the date on each of them. So, you know, if you want to go back and do something, it's like, oh, what was it called? If you know the date, you have the date. So I think if we do this, this frame will give it a nice, sturdy backdrop. I don't really think I need that little one. I kind of like the big one. What do you think? If we just did the little one, I think I like the big one. So we could, if I want this to fit in an envelope, if I do dimensionals on this, it's going to get even thicker. So either way, we're going to probably need extra postage on this one if you mail it. If you hand deliver it, it shouldn't really matter. But two, if you put your white cardstock back here, even framed with another color maybe, you could write more on here if you didn't want to just write on the inside. But I think that is so fun. If I did my belly band a little tighter, this would probably lay a little bit flatter. So you can play with yours. But I think either way, it's still a really fun card. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this here because I'm not going to put that on dimensionals because I think it's just going to get too thick. And then this one can go here. And I'm going to do it this way. Rather than this way, it shows more of the gatefold. I'm going to do it this way so it's just a little more concealed. So I can do all of my glue right here. Trying to look to see which one of those might be best with the outline. I don't think it really matters much. And then I'm lining it up here rather than from side to side. And then if we lay this out here, we could put our little ring on here. And some of our sprigs. Maybe I'll cut the sprig stems off. Because then they don't have to be spaced out so much. Yeah, if it is too tight, it is a bear to get on and off, mostly back on. So that is a very good point. So we'll do this here. And I'm just kind of laying these out because I haven't laid this out before. I don't have a sample. All I have are my little notes with measurements on here from who knows how long ago. I don't know how many years ago it was. And then just to pull in some more of the pretty peacock that we did on the designer series paper. I think that's subtle enough that that can go under here, but it'll also help that green designer series paper, that old olive, which is also from the same paper. I just had them cut out because that's a sprig from the same set, I think. I think I kind of like that. And then if we pop these in here, where's my other one? And I have more on the top than on the bottom, but I don't want it to look like it's just a mirror image. So what do you think of that? And I think what I will do is put the ends of the sentiment on dimensionals. I'm going to trim that a little shorter though. So let's see how this is going to work. And I don't need this one. because I do like that ring on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue dots on the front of the ring, right in the middle where the sentiment is going to sit on it, and that's going to hold that ring in place. So we'll put this on here straight across from each other because that's where that sentiment's going to sit. And then I'm going to put some, I'm just going to put seal on there. And then we'll have a couple of dimensionals on the ends. So I'll put one over here and one over here. Yeah, and to think when I first started stamping, which was like 2015 is when I first heard about Stampin' Up. I'd never even heard about it before. I mean, I went to the craft stores for my stuff because that's all I knew. And I had made some wedding invitations, and a gal that I was working with thought they were pretty cool, and she invited me to her. She was in a stamp club with the woman who is now my upline. That stuck to my finger. And she invited me to go, and I had a good time. I had never heard of Stampin' Up before, so it's like, wow. And we did a pretty simple card. And it was a two-step stamping. So there was a background stamp. Well, it wasn't even two-step. That came off. It was a background stamp and a floral image. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And so I went back a few times, and they offered some joining bonus, and I wanted the bonus, whatever free thing they were giving out. And so I joined in 2017, and here I am now. All right, so that'll kind of work. Now I have not taken the dimensional backings off yet because I'm going to have to play with these pieces a little bit. I'm just trying to lift them up so I have the general idea of where they're going to go. So this I want to be up a little higher, but I don't want it to go over the edge of the page either. This will come in here. This is kind of the tricky part when you're trying to put some of these extra items on, because I don't want those stems to show under my sentiment either. I want that one behind. And then we still need this one on. This probably takes longer than doing the whole card, hey? Yeah, I think that one will go right up there. Oops, I lost a piece. And I think I'm going to put some tear and tape on here because that's going to help hold the other pieces here. Tear and tape can be magical. Yeah, I can always trim those stems. You're right. That would probably be easier than trying to fight with them and hide them, right? Oh. Sticky tape. Alrighty. So we're going to put that there. And I am going to end up just trimming that one there, because that'll work best. But I love the little clusters with these foliage pieces. And I don't even really need that much trimming off of there. Cool. And then I'm just going to put one more dimensional in the middle so that that is supported. And hopefully that is going to be that. Yeah, especially since I didn't already have a sample of this done. Ooh, that tear and tape is really sticky. Since I didn't have a sample done, so I had really nothing down. I just, what was kind of going on in my head. All right, and then I'm just going to put a couple little dollops of glue on here, just so those don't go flopping around when we go to put it like in the envelope. Hopefully it's not going to be too thick for the envelope. I know it's small enough to fit, so we'll give that a whirl. And then let's go like so. We'll try to center it there. Oh, that doesn't work. Stop the glue, because it can't stick to my card, can it? Ooh. I almost messed that one up. Nobody'd ever get into the card. So let's just get my embossing buddy. We're going to put some powder on that to take the stickum away. Ooh, that was a close call. That would have been pretty embarrassing if I gave that card away and they couldn't get into it. Whoops, sorry. All right, that works. Phew. All right, so when they get their card, it'll even stand up. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back on. And slide that down. I think the ring kind of helps keep everything attached too. Ooh, that was a close call with that glue. Oh, and one of my red things came out here. Guess I'm just going to have to put some glue on there and tuck it in. Be fine. There. All right, get rid of the debris. All right, now embellishments. We are going to use just some rhinestones. And I'm going to go get my cherry cobbler. Because I need an alcohol blend. You can't just use regular marker on this because it will rub off. Yeah, it would have been nice, but they would have ripped it to bits trying to get into it. All right, I'm going to use a large, a medium, and a small. Look at those. Aren't those gorgeous? I think we're going to do 2 more for good measure. I think we're going to do 5. All right. Now, I am only going to put my gems on the belly band piece and on the bottom part of the card because I don't want that belly band to get stuck. Well, I'd almost have to put 3 down here as a cluster because there's 3 dots right there. And then we're going to put a couple of them on here. So that's 3, 4, 5. What do you think? So I've got 3 little ones here, 4, 5. And I finally finished off a piece of, or a whole thing of rhinestones. Hello, Deborah Wilson from Kentucky. Welcome. Have you been lurking and just watching? I'm glad you decided to chime in. I don't know that I've seen your name here before, so hopefully you'll come back. So the little bit of glue residue that was on the card, there, I think we're good. All right. And then my little messy envelope. But if I put a sticker or something over there with my return address on it, we do. See, I got ink on there, probably from when I was blending on my table. But no naked cards. There's our little box card. Let's take this off. There's our card. And of course, like I said, this is not attached yet because I'm going to write in there. But then I can just add some tear and tape and lay it down there. And it will stand up. So if they want to display it, it'll stand up. And they could even, I don't know, they could just put the belly band up there. Well, thank you, Sala. I try to come up with things that I think all of you will enjoy. So that's all I have for tonight. Well, I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you like what we made tonight. This was, here's what I was working off of. I don't know how old my notes are, but I was cleaning my studio today and found them and thought, oh, let's give it a try. So that's why we're doing what we did tonight. But here's our color palette. And we used some delicate pines. We used some branching out. And we used the Elegant Pines Snowflakes Designer Series paper. So I'm going to go. It's been great crafting with you, Sala. Thanks for your contributions, your votes of confidence or whatever. I appreciate all of that. That DSP is absolutely gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Some of my past videos, I've gone and shown all of the sides. And if you scroll through some of my past videos, you'll see some other ones that I've used, that I've done using that paper. I think it's gorgeous paper. So that's all I have for you tonight. I'm going to spend a little bit of time finishing prepping for my class that I have later today. It's almost 1:15 here in Wisconsin. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate all the hearts and thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And my granddaughter Riley loves bringing this into the picture. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Feel free to share. Feel free to case. I will post a picture of this also on my Facebook page. Not sure exactly when. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But if you recreate the card, Sala, you and Amanda, when you do the card, post a picture in the comments on that post. I would love to see what you two make. All right. Until next time, happy crafting.